So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another interview of the Shield Dude and a Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and today we're joined by Stephen. He's the guitarist and singer for the band The Stone Eye, and they're a band from Philadelphia that plays. Uh, they play like an alternative rock that if you love the 90s, especially in the first albums, if you love Alice in Chains, I would really recommend this band because I remember I actually listened to the band in 2020. So first of all, Stephen, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. So the first time that I listened to your band is because I know Wesley from the band Moths in Puerto Rico. He shared the Ventura album in 2020, and I remember I'm like, oh, and he posted that if you like alternative, like grungy music, like check out this band. So I checked that album out, and yeah, I truly enjoyed it, and anything that says 90s to me, I enjoy it. So, but now you come a long way. You have, I think you released your last album, Fata Morgana, which is your third album, and you released it like a few months ago. I believe it was
That,
April.
that's actually our seventh album.
Our seventh album. Wow.
So we've been making music since 26 or 2015. Actually, our first song was 2014. First album was 2015, and then Ventura is actually like our fifth album, I think. And then so then we had South the Sun and Fata Morgana, which came out in April. Um, if you want to like Ventura is like very grungy, but if you want even more grungy, like you should go like back to like even our earlier stuff, and they're just like
Mhm.
oozing with like the '90s influence. And I mean it still is, but we're definitely progressing more towards like a progressive rock
Yeah, that's
sound
what I was gonna
nowadays.
say. Fata Morgana, it's a long album, it's an hour. So
Hmm.
even though there's some grunge elements, there's like a lot of progressive rock into it
Hmm.
as well. So yeah, I saw that progression from that album, and the one you had, I think you had one like 2 years ago. I can't remember the name right now, but
Yeah.
I do remember Ventura and listening to it and finding out about the band. So so yeah, so also I know that you did actually did a split with the band Moths from Puerto Rico. So how did you guys meet, Moths and the Stoner? How did that happen?
So we played a show together. I want to say it was 2019. Like, was it was something like, I think it was 2019. We played a show together in Philadelphia and we just hit it off, became good friends. Specifically Wesley and I became pretty close. And, like he was a fan of our band. I'm a fan of his band. And from there, we kind of just like, spitballed the idea like, hey, like, like maybe like release some music together, be kind of cool, and also it's like, one band's from Puerto Rico, one's from, Philadelphia. It's like the distance factor also makes it like kind of unique too. And yeah, and then we just shot the idea around it. Well, more specifically, he came up with the idea and got all the artwork done. He's like, yeah, here's the artwork. Like, do you think you'd want to do something with us? I'm like, okay, that'd be really fun. So yeah, we just ended up putting out 2 songs together with them. And yeah, that was the split we did with them back in, didn't that come out in 2019, I think? Something like that.
Yeah, I can remember. I know. I
2019.
think it came out. Yeah, or it came out after Ventura. I think
Was it
so.
after Ventura?
Yeah, I think
Uh,
so.
we put out so much music that
Yeah,
sometimes it like all blends together for me. But that sounds about right. It's sometime in that area, that Ventura like area, that we did the split with Moths. And yeah, that was a really fun project to tackle. And we did a cover of Wayfaring Stranger. That was, yeah, I really enjoyed, recording and playing and stuff. So that was a lot of fun working with them.
yeah. So, so you growing up, like, I'm pretty sure I know what like music artists that influence you, but like, maybe you surprise me. Like, what influenced you, like, growing up as a musician?
Well, grunge, obviously, Alice in Chains, bands like that. When I first got into guitar, like, I was really into classic rocks like CCR, Jimi Hendrix, and then it progressed into, like classic metal. I mean, I draw inspiration from a lot of stuff, like bands like Queens of the Stone Age, bands like King Crimson. I'm really into like folk artists, like Elliott Smith, Nick Drake, John Fahey, things of that nature. So yeah, I mean, really just like a lot of like rock stuff. Like I really like jazz too. I like orchestral music a lot too, like movie scores and like, things of that nature. I really enjoy ambient music. I really like. But yeah, I mean, I'd say what primarily was like the driving force in forming the band was at the time like Alice in Chains and the whole grunge movement, and then some Queens of the Stone Age sprinkled in there, and as well as like stoner rock. Stoner
Mhm.
rock was a huge, and I still love stoner rock, but like it especially was back when we first formed the band, like bands like Truck Fighters and Caius and Black Sabbath and all that stuff was like a big like, all right, this stuff's cool, like low tune, like fuzzy, heavy guitars, and also the stoner rock too in particular, because my voice is a baritone, and like up until that point, I'm like, oh, like a half step down the Alice in Chains tune, and like, oh, that's so low and heavy, and I'm like, wait a second, like I listen to Caius, they're all the way down in C standard, you know what I mean? I'm like, that's sick, and like, wow, I can actually like sing a chorus that a verse and then a chorus where the chorus like gets a higher pitch because I'm not like straining my voice trying to hit really high notes like naturally because you're just in a lower tuning and key. So yeah, that's where the initial influence came from.
Nice. And how's the rock scene in Philadelphia? Like
The rock
because
scene's it's great. It's great. There's always been a thriving music scene in Philadelphia. Um, and like hardcore is really big in Philadelphia, and also like punk and pop punk. Those seem to be like the biggest like scenes I've noticed in the Philly area, and the hardcore scene in Philly has been forever. But like in regards to, like stoner rock and like alternative rock, like those definitely are prominent in the city, and also indie rock is very prominent in Philadelphia. But no, there's always been a very thriving music scene in Philadelphia, and then also by extension New York, because you go 2 hours up the street and you're in New York.
yeah, no, I've been to Philadelphia a long time ago, but the most thing I remember is those pork sandwiches from a place called the Knicks.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, those. That he also, yeah, he's got like the cheese steaks, you got the hoagies, you got them all down there. Philadelphia's got some good food, really good Italian food as well.
Yeah, yeah, no, but I remember that place in particular because I had a friend that lived over there, and I just love those sandwiches. They were so good.
Oh,
So
delicious.
yeah, no, no. So the band has evolved, and so I listened to Fata Morgana, and yeah, there's more like a progressive side to it. And I gotta say that the music video for Not My Circus is fucking hilarious. Because like it looks like you filmed it like with a camcorder, and one of your bandmates it's late to band practice. That's basically the whole story of the
Yeah.
video. When you guys come up with concepts for videos, how did you come up with that? You're like, let's just do something simple and funny.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that one was not like super like. So what happened was we had a buddy, right? So the practice that was actually us recording the song in the studio, and we had a guy. Our buddy was running around like filming us like as we were recording "Not My Circus" in the studio. And I mean, how we record is we do drums and bass in the studio, and then sometimes guitars, and we also record like other places too. But that particular session, Christian, our guitar player, he couldn't make it, and we had all this footage, right, of us like in the studio, and we're like, ah, shit, but he can't make it. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, you don't want to put it out missing a member. And so, like, literally, like a week before, like, we filmed the Not My Circus video, I was just like, like we could make some kind of funny skit out of it. Like, he oversleeps and he misses it, and then we use that footage that we got, find a way to use it. So I was just like, I don't want to get rid of it. So how about we use the footage and make a little like silly story around it? You know what I mean? And that's where the whole like idea came from. Just like, I mean, we literally just like, all right, he's late to band practice, and like let's do this on the spot, and this like, so we showed up, and then we're like, all right, maybe he runs here and this happens, and then Jerry, our drummer, is like, and then this happens, you know what I mean? And we kind of just, that video in particular was not storyboarded whatsoever. It was just like kind of, I had my phone, I was running around filming. I'm like, all right, this, that, and the other. Like, oh, it'd be funny if some guy comes out of here with like a fucking shirt over his head doing this, that, and the other. So yeah, that
I'm
was totally just on the
yeah,
spot.
I'm guessing you didn't go over budget on that one.
Nah, nah, I didn't go over budget at all. I think our budget for that video was like a total of $0.
Well, yeah, that you can do a cool, funny video without spending that much money. Like I remember back in the day when like making a music video was like a movie, like super expensive, like
Mm-hmm.
$1 million production. I think video. I don't know if music videos now are as expensive as they used to be. I think that they're getting easier because they just people don't watch music videos on TV anymore. They'll just watch
Right.
music videos on YouTube or something.
Well, and then also I think some of it too is like, I mean, it's like recording music, right? Like back in the day, like, you had a you need to have a big ass budget to go into a studio and record. Nowadays, it's like everything's become so much simpler and easier, or not simpler, but more accessible, right? So like a
Mhm.
lot of the people you might work with or whomever, it's like, just like a dude who like got some like, microphones and like knows his way around like the interface and the DAW and like can make something sound really good, and like he's not going to charge an arm and a leg, because he knows you don't have a lot of money either. Because like we like for example the Oogie Doo music video, we worked with a guy and like named Alex. And like we got like a church and all this, and he's like a really good like film editor and like big videographer and all that. And we worked with him, but even that, like that wasn't like that was nowhere near $1 million, let's put it that way. Nowhere near in the same stratosphere. Yeah, he does like a hell of a job, but like, he just charges a rate that's like, kind of like a friend to friend rate. And, he has all of his gear. And yeah, just like nowadays, it's just so much more accessible than it was back in the day. You know what I mean? Whereas like only big studios could like, properly cut up film and edit it because you need like a big ass room and like all the machinery. Nowadays, you can just do it all in your laptop.
No, it's that is funny that you mentioned that you do it all in your laptop. Because now I was watching videos of like bands now when they go play, the laptop is very important for the live shows.
So yeah, there's a lot of bands that, well, I mean, most of the bands that we played with this past tour use some form of tracks, and then like you just run like the music or like the tracks on all the music, but like say like backing vocals or like ambient like pianos and stuff like through the laptop into like the front of the house, and then drummer plays to a click, and everyone plays their instruments normally, but like it just adds an extra layer of like sound and beef to the tone. And yeah, laptops are definitely a big part of live music nowadays. Well, tracks are rather, how you get those tracks is generally through a laptop, but that's a big part of live music. We don't use tracks personally, but it's big now.
Yeah, no, that I've heard. So so yeah, the music videos. So who the tour that you were, because you were touring the last few months, who were you touring with?
This band called Smile Empty Soul, and another
Oh, I
band called,
remember them.
yeah, I do it for the drugs. At
Yeah,
bottom of the
yeah.
bottle. Yeah, they
Yeah,
from like,
they're an old school band. I think they got huge like the first album, and now they kept releasing music, but it was like the second wave of like grunge bands. Yeah, like in the 2000s. Yeah, I remember that song that you were from the bottom of the bottle.
yeah. So that we were on their tour, and that tour that we just did with them was like the 20-year anniversary of it. So yeah, that's what we were just doing, because that first album came out in 2003. So we were touring with them, and then this other band called Nocturnal Affair, from Las Vegas. They were another opener, and then we were an opener. So there's two openers in the headline.
Cool. So are you planning some more tours for the next months, or are you guys going to rest now?
I mean, like right now, we're kind of in a holding pattern. It's just like, when opportunity arises, we'll evaluate, what that opportunity is and make a move. I mean, we're playing in New York City in like a week, and then we have like a few local shows sprinkled in. And then also within the next few weeks, we're trying to get back into the studio because we have like we have 4 songs. Yeah, we have like 4 songs that are like completed. And I'm thinking like maybe we do like an EP or something like that, and try to capitalize on the momentum gained from Fata Morgana, and the Spotify listens and all that. And the thing about maybe playing the single game, you know what I mean? Where it's just like, instead of putting out a huge album, just like putting out singles, like every like, 8 to 12 weeks. So I'm thinking about it just to try it out, because we've already put out so many albums. It's like, let's try something else.
Yeah, and you just put out an album like a few months ago. So Fata Morgana, I was reading that that's I think I don't know what language it is, but it's like it's something that is a mirage, right? Or what's the meaning of Fata Morgana?
It's I believe so. I didn't actually think of the album title. Our bassist did. And if I recall correctly, it's kind of like it's an illusion, right? I
An
think it's like
illusion, yeah.
when yeah, it's like when you look over the sea and it kind of looks like instead of the because you think the sea goes down, right? But instead it looks like the sea's like rising up. Like I think that's like pretty much like the meaning of like Fata Morgana.
Yeah, and I
It's like
like
a
the
very
cover.
specific.
Yeah, the cover is pretty cool. I'm gonna show the cover here for Fata Morgana. Who worked on the cover for this one?
Oh man, I wish I had the name on me. But
Oh, that's
unfortunately,
okay.
but if you go like on our Bandcamp and if you buy the CD, like it's in the liner notes. And I apologize if he sees the video and I forgot. But
But
no, it's
it's a cool album cover.
oh yeah, no, the dude who made it, I mean, it's fantastic. He sent me like I just reached out to my label actually like in early 2021, I believe. And I was like, hey, like like I do a lot of artwork, and if you have any bands interested in like taking some of my artwork and commissioning for my work. And I'm like yeah, like that, like these look freaking awesome, and they had like 30 of them. And we as a band we sat down and I'm just like, hey guys, like I really like this guy's work, and I think it kind of reflects the kind of schizophrenic nature of the album sometimes in regards to how it goes stylistically all over the place. And yeah, we just sat down and looked at all of his artwork, came to the conclusion that he kicks ass as an artist. And then yeah, we just picked one that we all agreed upon, and that's where it came from. And yeah, it's fantastic artwork. I mean, the dude killed it.
Yeah, I'm looking here. I'm putting the Bandcamp to see if we can see where it says the name. But yeah, I see that you have like a shirt. You can buy it cassette and digital and
Yeah.
compact disc. Yeah. So no vinyl for now, just compact disc and cassettes for now, right?
Yeah, I'd love to do vinyl. It just comes down to financing and where you want to put your money, where it's most important. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because I mean, vinyl is expensive as hell,
It
and
is,
there's
yeah.
also all the pressing plant, like delays and this, that, and the other. And it's like, in order for us to like, especially independent, like in order to get a vinyl like made and like sell it and like break even, like it, you have to like almost charge like a criminal amount unless you're getting like thousands made. I don't want to charge $50 for, because that's also like it would be a double vinyl if we did it too, because it's like an hour long. You know what I mean?
It is an hour long, so it would be a double vinyl, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't want to charge like $55 for a vinyl. You know what I mean? For like us, like I just would feel like that's fair. Like I'd want to charge like something more reasonable. So, at the moment, just financially, we don't have anyone that wants to back us yet. So, if someone comes knocking on the door, I'd definitely be interested in doing vinyl. I'd love to do vinyl one day, but it just hasn't
Yeah.
happened yet, unfortunately.
So Stephen, for you, like writing songs, like what usually what inspires you with the lyrics, and what do you usually like to write about?
Lyrically, what inspires me is generally just day-to-day life, you know what I mean? And sometimes that's also like the issue. It's like, what the hell do I write about? I don't know, I'm happy, go to work, just go home, chill. But I mean, I don't know, like a lot of it's just, yeah, just like if random things happen, like for example, Not My Circus is specifically about this like stereo gum feud I got in. And like they wrote an article about like me and like it, because like yeah, I was in this big feud with like these indie kids, and that was kind of like a fuck you to like how I perceived them perceiving me. So that song's very specific. But a lot of songs too, it's like even if I don't have a lyrical like topic on hand, sometimes you just ad lib the lyrics, and from there it kind of developed like a 3 or 4 words where you're like da da da, like, and she took me away, like, okay, write that down and we'll start to try to write around that. And then you also kind of want to fit like the mood of the song. So if it's like a dark brooding song, like you kind of want to paint like a brooding dark atmosphere with it. So yeah, I mean that's what inspires me. Sometimes it's specific topics, other times it's just wordplay based off of what kind of mood I think the melody and guitar parts like dictate. you know. So
Yeah.
it depends really.
Yeah, I thought that almost one of the songs at the end, In Lieu of Roses, was interesting because it was a longer one. There's more progressive elements to that one. What what was the process for that one, and what is that song about?
So the process for that song, basically I wrote that main riff, like the bow, 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 bow out, and then Christian helped me write the little pre-chorus, like find me, you know you try. He helped me write that part, and then I wrote the chorus. And then so I brought it to the band and I had those three parts and we played through it. It sounded cool. And then I'm like, I have no idea what happens next after the chorus. And so then we kind of like shelved it for a few weeks. And I remember specifically I was watching the Abbey Road like Beatles thing that came out, the documentary, and I was watching and I'm like, wow, like this is very interesting, like the songwriting process. And so that whole middle section, like the bounce, bounce, not from like 3 minutes like to like 6 minutes or whatever. Um, I kind of just wrote that after watching the Beatles thing and feeling like inspired by it. And then I brought it to band practice as its own song, and then our bass player Mike was like, "Hey, like, why don't we try combining like the two songs?" You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I was thinking maybe it'd be a shorter song, and then we ended up combining it, and we're like, "Hang on, this works really well." You know what I mean? So the middle section, yeah, like I said, like the middle section when like the key change happens and everything, and like I don't mean to be afraid, like all that, that was its own song, and then the beginning and end of the song were their own songs, and then we combined them into one and it became this like 9 minute like epic. And then lyrically that is a specific meaning too. That's about like mutual family friend who passed away. Yeah, that's what that was about. And it was like more so like I like passed away and like left some kids behind, so it was like kind of a sad song.
Yeah, and then you follow it with I'm Dying Mother.
Yeah. So that I guess that's I didn't mean to do it like that, but that's actually well, yeah. Well, there you go. I
You're
mean,
like,
that's
if you
actually
didn't feel depressed enough, here you go. Here's the album closer.
yeah, yeah, and that also feeds really well into the topic of the song too, Mood Roses. Um, well, no, yeah, I'm Dying Mother. That's a old folk song, like a field recording from like the '50s in
Yeah,
rural
it's
America.
there's like a folkiness to it.
Yeah, it's like this guy called Bert Hare, and he wrote like I think that's his only recording. And it was just some dude in some random town in like Alabama, and some guy like was really into folk music in the '50s and would bring like a field recorder. And I found it on YouTube, and I was just like, wow, this song's really cool. And I started like making it more like bluesy because like the original version's on banjo and the chord progression's a little different. So I made it a bit like more bluesy, like folky, I guess. And yeah, and then I recorded that and I like truncated like the song a bit and also like the lyrics, like I truncated them a bit and changed the melody around slightly. And then I'm just like, all right, like I really like this. So yeah, that's where that song comes from.
Cool. And in lieu of roses, if you hadn't told me that that's our two separate songs that you put together, it sounded very cohesive. So I would have noticed if you hadn't told me. So yeah, that's incredible that you got two songs and made it work. So out of the songs on this album, like for you, which one for you was the hardest to write musically or lyrically for you?
Um, Probably Oh Well. That might have been the hardest song to write because I remember, I think lyrically too, from what I recall, that's another song that I struggled to find a topic. And yeah, like Oh Well is just like, yeah, I'm literally, it's just about not caring because I'm just like, I don't really know what to write about. Oh well, I'm
Well,
just gonna throw
you
some
could have
words on the
named it. You
paper.
could have named it "Fuck It."
Yeah, yeah, fuck it, we'll do it live. Yeah, no, I think that song was probably the hardest. Because yeah, like I just couldn't think of a melody forever. And then also like yeah, lyrically I really struggled to find like something to like write about. And then a bit like this too was kind of hard to find like a melody for, because a few of the songs on this album, like we finished the song like musically, but we had no like, vocal melodies like in mind, and like I had to come back and like, kind of plop it on top of it and like try to figure out how to make it work. Um, so I'd say those two were probably the hardest for me to write. And then musically, what was the hardest to write? I really don't know. I don't think any of them were particularly like challenging. I mean, they probably were in the moment, but I can't think of like any song where I was just like, fuck, that's so like hard to compose. I mean, because I feel like every song sometimes like goes through that where you're just like, what the hell do I play? What the hell do I play? You know, like
Well,
where
and
does this
after
chord go
having like
next?
7 albums, like I can I never wrote an album, so I think it would be hard to find topics, like if like especially like if you're saying like if your life is going good, like usually the best music comes when someone is in fucking misery or something.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, yeah, so yeah, it's like I don't know, like it's sometimes it's hard to find, lyrical topics. And then also, yeah, sometimes it's hard to find. Well, and then also too, like you don't want to sound like super cliche. You don't want to be like, man, my girl left me, na, na, na. Like, I mean, there's music for that, but like, again, yeah, when you have 7 albums, it's like how many times can you like fall upon like the same cliches and stuff? Because you want to push yourself too. And then yeah,
Oh,
musically as well. It's like, yeah, same thing. It's like, all right, like we've like done this before. Like, how do we like make it newer and show progression? So we definitely struggle with that sometimes. But yeah, I mean, it eventually just comes to you, you know what I mean? And also like too, like when you've been playing for so long, like you kind of just naturally start playing different stuff because it's like, you get better as a guitar player and a singer and all that. So it just
yeah. And
happens.
I'm thinking that listening to Fata Morgana, that it seems like the progression that the band is taking is more progressive, longer songs. Because they've gotten longer from Ventura. When I listened to Ventura, then the other album I listened to, there were some longer songs. So it seems like you guys are going in that proggier rock realm, not psychedelic, but a little bit proggier.
Yeah, no, I mean definitely more proggy. And that's just by virtue of, like my influences, like finding new music. Like our drummer, like Jeremiah, he's like a huge prog fan. Guitar player Christian's a big prog fan. So just naturally, like and also like Fata Morgana too is like a much more collaborative effort in regards to songwriting. Cause like before that album, like Ventura, like oh, South of the Sun had some collaboration for sure, but like Fata Morgana was the first time where we really like workshopped like everything together, versus like me like having a completed song, just bringing it to people and being like, all right, cool, like let's play it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, and
like
doesn't
just
that
by
take pressure away from you as a songwriter that they could chip in and also bring ideas and not like everything songwriting falling on your shoulders?
yeah, I mean yeah, it does. I mean, I I I don't want to say it takes away a lot of pressure though, and like now, granted, I mean, I'm not sure if I feel a lot of pressure to begin with. You know what I
Well,
mean?
no,
I
you
think
don't
it's
seem
more.
like a guy that feels a lot of pressure.
No, I mean, like I do, but like I'm sorry, I don't know. Like I think the big takeaway for me, like working like in the way we did was it's like it's fun and it's interesting and it like it challenges you, as a musician to play better. Because like, what if someone else brings up a part that you can't physically play at first, or like has like these ideas, and I think it's I think it's just more fun and interesting, and it's kind of like because when you write your own music, you're like, oh, I know my music, like I'm playing my music, but like when you listen to a new band that you really like half the excitement's discovering like a new song or like, a new like way of hearing music that you didn't think about before. And so when you're more collaborating with people and you see them bring ideas to the table and you're like, I would have never thought about that, but that sounds fucking sick. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, I mean, I think it's just the big takeaway was just it was a fun process, really, and it makes the music, more fun to play live too, because it's like almost like you're not playing your own song, you're like playing a song that might be one of your favorite songs. You know what I mean? Because it
Yeah,
wasn't
no,
just
I
you that
totally
put
know
it
what you
together.
mean. And
Yeah.
if I was the lead singer and someone else wrote some parts, if someone said I didn't like that part, I would say it's not my fault. I didn't write it.
Yeah.
It's the other guy's fault.
Yeah, it's that asshole's fault. Yeah, exactly. You get it. Yeah, I
He,
can I can
he,
deflect blame now.
yeah, and it's like it's not my fault. I didn't write that part. So yeah, no, I would recommend the band. I know the band is pretty. there's you have a following, but you're doing it yourself, so more people need to know the Stone Eye. I'm glad
Absolutely.
I discovered you guys a few years later, and yeah, I like the sound, and I like the progression that the band has done. And Fata Morgana, yeah, it's a pretty cool album that has some different elements from prog, grunge, rock and roll, and folk all into one. So I think that people that enjoy all those type of music would enjoy this one, and especially because it's got like that. The sound that you guys have is like it's a little bit like retro, but with some modern tendencies. Like
Yeah,
and
no, I would actually agree with that entirely.
yeah. So
Yeah.
so you have that like retro that is like boomer approved. So it's safe for the boomers. There's no
Yeah.
there's no laptops, there's no Skrillex there, there's nothing like nothing modern that will scare them off.
Boomer approved. I like that. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, hey,
We're
you
not
need to get
scary.
the boomers.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, exactly. Well,
they still buy
the
shit.
boomers, yeah, yeah, exactly. They still buy physical medium, which it supports us the most. And because they're boomers and like they've been working for a long time. They have not everyone, but some have disposable income. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like it's all a marketing ploy. That's what I'm telling you.
So
Just
there
kidding.
you go, a slogan, the Stone Eye, boomer approved.
Yeah, exactly. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that would be a cool shirt. I think it would be funny. So
I actually like that idea. I might
yeah, well,
steal that.
I'm not gonna charge you for that. It's free advice.
Yay.
Yeah, so man, it's been great chatting with you and meeting you. I love the Darth Vader shirt.
Oh yeah, my Empire Strikes Back. See, Boomer approved. I got my Empire Strikes Back shirt on.
Well, let's be if we're talking Star Wars. The I'm not a boomer. I'm a Generation X, but come on, the original Star Wars movies. Sometimes to me, I would leave them that's the only Star Wars movies. The only one of the newer Star Wars movies that I say
Oh, I
is
hate.
as good as the originals is. Let's see if you agree with me. Rogue One.
Um, that's the best thing Disney did.
Yeah, exactly. Because
Um,
the good thing about that movie that it felt more like the original trilogy, or like you say, it's the prequel to Episode 4: A New Hope.
yeah, no, I mean it's a Rogue One. I like Rogue One. I mean, I wouldn't say it's great, but I like it. Four,
Well,
five,
you
six,
gotta say
classic.
that last part for in the tunnel when Vader.
Oh, dude, I got
Oh,
goosebumps. I got
I
goosebumps.
was in the
That
movie
was
theater
epic.
like, yes, this is what I want to see. Vader killing people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh my god, that part was epic. Then he opens the door and cuts through, and they're like running, and then they give the plans to Leia, and
The
then
only
it
thing
cuts.
that movie needed more was more Darth Vader.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that movie was solid. I like that movie.
Yeah.
7, 8, 9 like sucked.
Oh my God.
Solo. Oh yeah, 7. I remember going to see 7 in theaters and being so like excited, and then I watched it and I was kind of in disbelief. I'm like, I did like that movie, right? And I
Which one
watched it
was
again.
seven? Was that the one the
It's
first
like
one?
the new one that's basically just a rip off of A
Oh
New
yeah,
Hope.
it's a New Hope 2.0.
Yeah, it was awful. I'm like, I don't
I
want to
remember
pay to
seeing
see
that
this
movie and I'm like, this is the same fucking
fucking
movie.
movie. Yeah, it was terrible. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you have so much hype and like money and everything behind this franchise. There's not an ounce of originality. I was just like, oh my god, like it was so disappointing. Because I'm like, wow, like everyone hates on episodes 1 through 3, and for good reason. I mean, episode 1 in particular is god awful, but
Oh, the
everyone
only
hates
good
on it.
thing about that movie was Darth Maul, and he's hardly in that movie.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't come into like the last 20
I
minutes anyway.
remember I went to the movie theater to see that one the first day, and I'm sorry, when they played the trailers for that, you thought that Darth Maul was gonna have like a huge fucking part in that movie. And then he's barely in it. He was the best part of that movie, but no, you had to have Jar Jar fucking
Jar
Binks,
yeah.
which is
Jar,
so annoying that I actually miss C-3PO. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, he
Yeah, no.
makes C-3PO normal.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it was awful. Like, Jar Jar was terrible. like the acting, like the baby Anakin, or like whoever plays Anakin as a kid is like terrible.
Oh,
The
Jake
love
Lloyd,
story.
I think he had problems with the law.
Yeah, I think he did too, but he wasn't a good actor. And
He
like
he
it was,
had
I
problems
also
with the law, and he would say, "Do you know who I am?" And then they would say, "Who are you?" I'm in Star Wars Phantom Menace. Then you suck.
yeah, he sucked. Goodbye. No, yeah, no, it was awful. Then like the love interest was really weird with Padme and all that, because it's like they look
Oh,
like they
if
were
you
like
think
15.
about it, that's total like sexual,
Assault.
like if we were being the other way around, that the Padme was the younger one and the guy was older, it would have been canceled.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely. It was creepy as fuck. Like I'm like they're like 10 years, like he's like 8 and then she's like 18, and it's like, oh, I
yeah,
love you.
she's like, he looks at him like, hey, damn, I want to hit that 8-year-old ass.
Yeah, exactly. It was, yeah. So yeah, yeah. Star Wars. I love 4, 5, 6. The after that, it's very hit or miss. I like 3. 3 is really good. Revenge of the Sith. I mean, it's not a
Yeah,
classic,
you
but
know
it's
what I
good.
think? If you take the best parts of each movie with Revenge of the Fifth, the sixth, the fifth, you would
Yeah,
have had a good movie. Like,
yeah,
but I don't know. But yeah, maybe you should do like a concept album based on Star Wars.
yeah. This is my version of Star
This is
Wars.
my version of
Yeah.
Star Wars.
If you don't want to fuck it up, listen to me.
Listen,
Da-na-na-na-na.
yeah, that would be cool. But yeah, you probably would get sued and
Yeah,
get
oh God, yeah.
a cease and desist letter from Disney or something.
Oh,
Like,
I think the mouse would personally come over to my house and like kick down the door and, and steal
yeah,
everything.
eh, yeah. So yeah, this turn from music to Star Wars. But yeah, I can talk about Star Wars all day, because
I'm the
like,
same way.
yeah, it's just interesting. See, then the bad thing about Star Wars now, back in the day when a Star Wars movie was coming out, it was an event because they didn't put out a movie like each year. But now it's
It's
like here,
one after
the
the
same
other.
with Marvel. I'm fucking tired of Marvel movies. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm like, I'm like, give us a break. I'm like tired of like they it's so much that to me it's just like here, but have more shit from your way. I'm just over them.
I agree with you. That's a problem. It's like, it becomes a cash cow, and then you just got to throw money at it over and over again. And, the quality goes down, but you're putting more movies out. So you get more asses in the seats. And that's exactly what's happening with Marvel, Star Wars, and all these big franchises. It's like it goes from a labor of love and like and taking a chance on the story with the studio to like now it's like Disney owns it, and it's like what's Disney gonna do? Well, they're gonna shove it down your throat until you vomit it up.
Yeah, but you never know. Maybe one day Epcot Center will call you guys to play the Food and Wine Festival. So you want to piss them off.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
You
fingers
can
crossed.
play. You can play right next to Boys to Men and Starship.
Wouldn't that be something, huh?
Yeah, no, because those bands like I'm like, oh my god, they're still around. They play in those Epcot centers. Like, I think it's hilarious. So, Stephen, I don't want to take any more of your time. So, hopefully, people, if you haven't checked out the Stone Eye, check them out. I'm gonna put the picture here. This is their last album, the Stone Eye Fata Morgana. It's out now. You can buy it on Bandcamp, CD or cassette. Uh, so if you want to support the band, check it out, and they'll have some shows next month. So be on the lookout on their social, so you can, if they're coming to your town. And if you, man, it would be awesome if you guys played Puerto Rico with Moths. That would be a kick-ass show.
I love it, man. I mean, hey, if we could get out there and have it financially make sense, I mean, that's the
Yeah.
big thing, right? It's just like getting out there and not losing an arm and a leg, like financially.
Yes, and if you come here, if you go to the beach, do not go out at night because there's a band called The Ocean, and the singer almost died
Oh, really?
trying to. Yes, I saw an interview. They played in Puerto Rico in December, and he went to a beach, and it was a beach that there's some strong rip currents, and the dude was out there for 2 hours. He nearly drowned.
Holy
Like,
shit.
and the funny thing is the band name is the Ocean. So if he would have died, it's like the ocean singer dies in the ocean. I'm like, I'm like,
Well, I thought
isn't
you were
that
trying to make
ironic?
a pun. Well, I thought you were trying to make like a joke right there. You're like, there's
No,
this singer or this person called the Ocean. If you go out to the beach, that's
you
what I
go to
thought
the
you were saying.
beach and he dies in the ocean. The singer from
Yeah.
the, but hopefully, no, hopefully he survived then. But yeah, like yeah, that's the bad thing.
Jesus.
But yeah, if you ever come to Puerto Rico, yeah, I think it would be a great show, and
Oh,
especially
absolutely.
if you do it with Moths, because I think that would be like a cool vibe for the both of you bands. Maybe you could
Oh,
even play
absolutely.
together.
Yeah,
So
no, I mean, we'd love to, but
yeah,
it's if the opportunity ever arises,
yeah.
we'll be there in a heartbeat.
Yeah, man. So, Stephen, I'll let you go, but people, check out the Stone Eye. And until next time, people, this is Hector, the Shield Dude on a couch. And I'll see you all right here on
Hey.
the couch. Thank you.